The story opens in a quiet, lonely atmosphere inside an old house deep in the forest. There we meet an elderly woman named Lou. Even though age has clearly caught up with her, she still looks tough and very used to living on her own. Lou has a loyal dog named Jack who never leaves her side. One day Lou starts digging in her backyard. From the soil, she uncovers an old box that immediately catches her attention. She takes it inside, then heads to the kitchen and prepares a large amount of meat before setting it down for Jack. Outside, the sky grows darker and the wind starts to pick up, a clear sign that a major storm is on its way. The box she dug up turns out to be filled with old documents, letters, and photographs from the past. Lou looks through them briefly, then begins burning them one by one in the fireplace. Whatever story is captured in those images, she clearly wants it erased. After that, she sits down to write a letter, a final message she prepares before doing the unthinkable. With a long rifle in her hands, she raises it toward her neck, and a single shot rings out. The world believes her story ends here. This is Lou. A few days later, Lou is seen out in the forest hunting. She successfully brings down a deer and then takes her game into town. Strangely, instead of just doing her errands, she goes to the bank and asks to withdraw all of her savings in one large sum, leaving the bank teller stunned. As she steps back outside, she is stopped by Sheriff Rankin, who has noticed the deer carcass in her vehicle. Lou calmly explains that the deer suddenly ran into her car. The sheriff cannot quite make sense of her, and he is left watching in confusion as she drives away.
You know, you ought to get yourself one of these copper bracelets.
Careful you don't get struck by lightning wearing that thing.
Meanwhile, in another part of the area, we are introduced to a little girl named V and her mother, Hannah. They live in a rental house that belongs to Lou. To hide the truth about her past, Hannah often tells V that her father is away hunting for treasure, even though the real story is much darker. Not long after Lou arrives to collect the rent, in her usual cold manner, she tells Hannah that the money needs to be on the dining table by the next morning. As she is leaving, Lou almost hits V, who suddenly appears in front of the car. And the moment leaves the air feeling tense. Meanwhile, a man named Chris comes over to Hannah's house. From the way they interact, it is clear that Chris is Hannah's boyfriend.
Look, we were both pretty drunk. So,
yeah, clearly, because I do remember you singing like a virgin at the top of your lungs.
Please swear you'll never tell.
After spending some time together, Chris heads home. On his way, he notices a man standing on the side of the road, drenched from the rain. Feeling pity, Chris slows down and offers him a ride. What he does not expect is that the man suddenly attacks him with brutal force, killing him right there. It is later revealed that this mysterious stranger is Philip, Hannah's husband and V's biological father. The next day, Hannah gathers her savings to finally pay the rent. At the same time, Lou is back in her house, burning more old photographs. She then writes what appears to be a final will. In that letter, she names Hannah as the new owner of the house, giving her full permission to sell it if she wants to. Lou even leaves money in the freezer and sets aside a month of rent for Jack, her dog. Even though she rarely shows affection, her actions reveal how much she cares about Hannah and young V. The weight of her past has pushed her into isolation, and it is clear she has been considering ending everything. Later that night, the power in Hannah's home suddenly goes out. When she steps outside to check the fuse box, an intruder slips in through the back door without her noticing. Moments later, she spots Chris's van parked outside. He should have been long gone. With growing concern, she walks closer and finds his lifeless body inside the vehicle. Panic takes over. Hannah rushes back inside to look for V, but the child is gone. The scene shifts to Lou's house. Lou is preparing to pull the trigger on herself when a loud knock interrupts her. Hannah bursts in, terrified and out of breath, explaining that V has been kidnapped. The kidnapper is Philip, her husband. She had been hiding on this remote island to escape him, but he has finally tracked them down. Hannah hands Lou a photo of herself with V. On the back, Lou notices a coded message left by Philip. Without hesitation, she grabs her gear and tells Hannah they are going after V. Before they leave, Lou checks Hannah's car and discovers a bomb wired under the hood. She pulls Hannah back just seconds before the vehicle explodes. It becomes clear that Philip is not an ordinary criminal. He is trained, skilled, and extremely dangerous. Lou explains that they are about 10 miles from town and suggests Hannah stay behind for her safety, but Hannah refuses and insists on going. On the way, Hannah reveals the truth. Philip is a former soldier and an expert in explosives. He has a long criminal history and is wanted by the authorities. Lou, with her own military experience, studies the tracks on the ground and concludes that Philip is transporting V using a small cart, heading toward a boat. Meanwhile, V wakes up in a wooden enclosure, scared and confused. For a moment, she feels a sense of relief when she recognizes the man in front of her is her father. Philip calmly tells her that her mother will be there soon. Meanwhile, Lou and Hannah continue searching and eventually come across a small house occupied by two men. Lou tells Hannah to stay hidden while she checks it alone. At this point, Hannah starts noticing how familiar Lou is with tactical gear and survival tools, and her suspicion quietly grows. Lou approaches the house pretending to need help, using the excuse that her dog has gone missing. The men let her inside, but she quickly realizes V is not there. Something feels off, and she begins to suspect these men are connected to Philip. The situation becomes tense. When one of the men makes a suspicious move, Lou reacts instantly. She throws hot water into his face and a quick fight breaks out. Despite her age, Lou moves with precision and skill, handling firearms and hand-to-hand combat like someone who has spent years training for it. With surprising strength and technique, Lou overpowers both men. She forces one of them to talk, and once she gets the information she needs, she eliminates them without hesitation.
You got me. I swear.
Watching this unfold, Hannah is left shaken and confused. Everything she thought she knew about Lou begins to fall apart. How could this isolated older woman fight like that? How could she be so ruthless and controlled in a life or death situation? With no other explanation, Hannah pushes Lou for answers. Lou finally reveals the truth. She spent 26 years working in the field for the CIA. Every skill she just displayed was built during years of dangerous missions and covert operations. As they move forward, Hannah finds a walkie-talkie among Lou's supplies. In a moment of fear and desperation, she thinks about contacting Sheriff Rankin for help. Lou stops her immediately and insists the device stay off. If it turns on, Philip can track them. Their only chance is to stay quiet, hidden, and unpredictable. But fear takes over. Hannah eventually activates the walkie-talkie, hoping for rescue. That single mistake alerts Philip to their location and pushes him to speed up his plan. He is already heading toward the shore, intending to escape with V before anyone can reach them. As they continue searching, Lou notices something about Hannah. The bruises and marks on her hands tell a painful story, and Lou begins to understand that Hannah once suffered abuse from Philip. Before they married, Philip never showed his true nature. Only after the wedding did Hannah discover the violent and dangerous man hiding beneath the facade. Their journey becomes even more challenging when Lou spots tracks from a small cart, the same one Philip likely used to move V. The trail leads them to an old, unstable wooden bridge. Sensing danger ahead, Lou instructs Jack, her loyal dog, to go home before he gets hurt. Lou crosses first, but when Hannah tries to follow, her injured hand slows her down. The bridge collapses, sending both of them into the river below. They struggle against the current but eventually make it to shore. V is still nowhere to be found. Hannah grows increasingly desperate, especially when they stumble across an abandoned boat. Inside, they find a photo of V, her teddy bear, and a note left behind. Lou quickly realizes these items are not clues meant to help them, but bait meant to keep them chasing Philip on his terms. Not long after, smoke rises in the distance. Philip knows they survived, and he is drawing them closer. Lou tells Hannah to climb the nearby hill and attempt to reach Sheriff Rankin again, while she follows the smoke signal. From afar, Lou finally spots V, appearing safe for the moment. But as she gets closer, Philip steps out and points a weapon at her, shifting the tension into something cold and dangerous. Up on the hill, Hannah manages to contact Sheriff Rankin, but the signal cuts out abruptly, leaving her unsure if help is coming. Then the confrontation begins. Lou and Philip face each other, and the truth finally comes out. Philip is not just a criminal, he is Lou's biological son. Driven by years of anger, Philip admits he took V not only to hurt Hannah, but to punish Lou. Lou explains the truth to Hannah, who never knew. When Philip was a child, he had been kidnapped. At the time, Lou was still working for the CIA. She was forced to choose between her mission and her son, and she chose duty. Philip survived, but the abandonment left deep emotional scars. He grew up consumed by resentment. Lou has carried the guilt ever since. She moved far from civilization, quietly watching over Hannah and V in case Philip ever resurfaced. She wanted to protect them, but she never had the courage to reveal the truth. Even after hearing everything, Philip refuses to soften. He lashes out and stabs Lou in the chest. Then, carrying V with him, he tries to flee once again. Meanwhile, Sheriff Rankin finally receives information about Hannah and the kidnapping. Instead of being allowed to help, he is ordered to stay away from the case. The reason becomes clear. The CIA is already involved, and they are hunting both Lou and Philip. To them, eliminating both is the simplest solution. Lou carries secrets from her years working undercover that the agency wants buried. Philip, shaped by a harsh upbringing and military training, is viewed as unpredictable and dangerous. Removing them both would erase a dark chapter the agency wants gone forever. Back on the island, Hannah continues searching for help. While looking through Lou's belongings, she discovers hidden photos and documents. That is when everything starts to click. The clues Philip left behind were meant for Lou, not for her. As the truth unravels, Lou finally admits that Philip is her son and explains why she spent years silently protecting Hannah and V from the shadows. The confession is painful, but it slowly begins restoring Hannah's trust. Lou then tells her where Philip is likely headed next, the lighthouse. Without hesitation, Hannah rushes toward it. Sheriff Rankin eventually arrives at Lou's location after crossing paths with Jack. He finds Lou badly injured and tries to help, but she refuses to stop. Determined, she gets back on her feet and continues toward the lighthouse. Up at the top, Hannah reaches Philip and V. Philip tries to keep V close, but Hannah's persistence finally convinces him to let the child step away. The moment is tense and fragile. As Hannah attempts to leave with V, Philip attacks and a violent struggle unfolds. Hannah manages to shoot him, but he keeps fighting until she wounds him again, this time with a knife. Inside the lighthouse, Hannah finally reaches V, only to make a terrifying discovery. Philip has rigged the structure with explosives controlled by a remote device. Lou arrives just in time and begins working to defuse it. Hannah takes V and guides her carefully down the narrow stairs. Philip, desperate and broken, presses the detonator, but nothing happens. Lou has already cut the wires. Once everyone is clear, Lou triggers the explosion herself using the walkie-talkie, diverting CIA attention toward the burning lighthouse and giving Hannah and V a chance to escape.
Are you calling for help?
Yeah.
Go.
But the story is not over. Philip confronts Lou one last time. Mother and son face each other with years of pain and anger between them. The fight turns emotional, and in a rare moment, they cling to each other, crying as if the past still holds a trace of love. A helicopter circles overhead. A single shot is fired. Philip is hit, and the two of them fall together into the ocean. The search that follows comes up empty. Eventually, the CIA declares both Lou and Philip dead and leaves the case behind, satisfied that their problems have disappeared beneath the waves. Time passes, and the CIA continues showing up at Hannah's house, searching for any sign of Lou. But no matter how many times they return, they never find her. Eventually, Hannah and V move away to start over, once everything with Sheriff Rankin is settled. Life slowly shifts back to something normal, or at least something quieter. On their way out of town, they board a ferry with Jack by their side. As the boat moves across the water, V looks up toward the upper deck and notices a lone figure watching from a distance. The figure appears to be a woman with a scar on her arm and a copper bracelet, just like the one Lou used to wear. Through binoculars, the woman quietly watches Hannah and V, then fades back into the background. It is never spoken aloud, but the message is clear. Lou is still out there. She is alive, staying hidden and protecting them from the shadows. So the moral of the story is never underestimate old people with dogs.